In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 college football games happening on January 2nd, 2026, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Rice versus Texas State. Both teams come in with very similar resumes, and with this being a neutral site, there is no real home edge to lean on here. That is where recent form starts to matter more than the raw record. Texas State has strung together 3 straight wins, which usually says something about rhythm and confidence this late in the year. Rice, on the other hand, has dropped 6 of its last 8 and has covered the number only twice in that stretch, which hints at a team that the market keeps slightly overestimating. On top of that, Rice is sitting on a negative 12.4-point differential for the season, which quietly tells you they have been outplayed on both sides of the ball more often than not. Even when a team hangs around in individual games, a number like that across a whole season tends to show who is winning the down-to-down battles and who is not. Texas State profiles far stronger there, and when you blend that with current momentum, it is hard to treat these two as truly equal, even if the records look similar at first glance. The biggest stylistic gap comes from explosives. Texas State has generated more plays of 50-plus yards than anyone else, and that is not just a fun trivia nugget. It completely changes how a spread gets covered. Chunk plays act like shortcuts for covering a favorite because you do not need 10 perfect snaps when one broken coverage or one missed tackle turns into an instant score. Rice has been sitting at the very bottom in explosives allowed, which is exactly the wrong profile against an offense that lives off big play shots. In a bowl setting at a neutral field, when legs are fresher early and coaches often script aggressive plays, that sort of mismatch can flip a tight spread into a multi-score margin in a hurry. Put that all together, and Texas State looks more likely to control the flow, hit the game-breaking plays, and ultimately finish ahead of the spread rather than behind it. As our first pick for this matchup, the Texas State Bobcats to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Neither unit has been anything close to reliable. Rice games have gone over the number in 4 of their last 6, and Texas State has gone over in 5 of their last 7, which is exactly the kind of pattern you see when defenses struggle to string together stops. Texas State has put up 30 or more points in 8 of its last 9 outings, so this is an offense that gets into the 30s almost by habit at this point. When an attack is that consistently productive, it only needs a bit of help from the opponent to push a game into a higher scoring tier. Rice has provided more than a bit of help. They have allowed a combined 108 points across their last 2 games, and in their last 2 road trips specifically, they have given up 52 in one and 61 in another. Even if you just glance at those numbers, you can feel how quickly things have been getting away from them. That kind of pattern usually is not random. It suggests tackling issues, blown coverages, and a defense that wears down as games go on. Against an explosive Texas State attack that is comfortable playing at a faster tempo, long drives are not even required. A couple of quick strikes can tilt the pace upward and force Rice to chase the game, which then leads to more possessions and more scoring chances on both sides. So even without trying to predict who comes out ahead, the setup points strongly toward a game where points arrive early, often, and from multiple angles. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Navy versus Cincinnati. The Liberty Bowl here really feels like one of those classic setups where the story and the spread are not talking about the same game. You have a 10-2 service academy that everyone praises for discipline and toughness, laying roughly a touchdown on a neutral field, facing a 7-5 Big 12 team that people keep talking about like it is held together with tape and borrowed jerseys. Most previews lean into the same script, the focused option team that just lifted another Commander-in-Chief trophy on one side, and on the other side a Cincinnati group that slogged through a rough finish and had several key players choose to sit this one out. That kind of talk can be loud, it sticks in your head, and it tends to inflate the favorite in the market a little, especially when casual bettors remember service academies as automatic bowl killers. If you zoom out a bit, though, the matchup is more stubborn than that simple story. Cincinnati spent 2 months getting hammered by Big 12 offenses, and that can easily trick everyone into forgetting that this defense still put up decent numbers when you look at the full season, and not only the worst Saturday afternoons. Their offense, when it was whole, moved the ball at a strong clip, piling up yards and chunk plays, and now that some of that firepower is missing, the natural adjustment is a more controlled, run-heavy approach rather than a reckless shootout. That is not flashy, it will not win any style awards, but it is exactly the kind of approach that helps an underdog hang around inside a larger number. Navy's option attack wants to grind, to stack long drives, to make you feel every single snap. That is a beautiful thing when you are watching from the couch because it looks clean and old school, but it also quietly keeps the score within a certain band and makes big spreads harder to cover unless everything goes perfectly. And Cincinnati is not walking in here to be polite background noise. This is still a proud program that has been told for weeks that it is outmanned, outgunned, and basically invited just to complete the card, and teams in that spot often play loose, physical, and angry in the trenches. Put that all together, you get a game script where the favorite can absolutely control the flow and even win, but where the underdog stays close enough with just enough stops and clock-chewing drives of its own to turn that spread into more of a cushion than a barrier. As our first pick for this matchup, the Cincinnati Bearcats to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The market is hanging a figure in the mid-50s, and that kind of total whispers shootout before the ball is even kicked. On paper, though, you are looking at one team that loves to run the ball again and again, and another team that just lost the driver of its passing game and is now piecing together a new offensive balance. Navy's whole personality is built around pounding the rock. They run far more than they throw, pile up rushing yards by the truckload, and their favorite stat might not even be points, it might be time of possession. Every long march down the field is a small victory, not just on the scoreboard but on the clock, and that slow bleed of minutes is something totals bettors feel in their stomach, especially when they are holding an over ticket. You can almost picture it, another methodical series, third and manageable, quarterback keeping it and sliding down after a first down, the clock rolling while the band plays. Cincinnati, on the other hand, built its season numbers with a full set of weapons on offense. They stacked up yards, explosive plays, and plenty of touchdowns, but that was with a starting quarterback who is now in the transfer portal and sitting this one out, plus other pieces who are unavailable. So what happens? The likely answer is a simpler game plan, more handoffs, more short throws, and fewer chances taken deep down the field. That kind of adjustment is totally reasonable from a coaching point of view, but it quietly trims plays off the game and squeezes the total number of possessions for both teams. Put Navy's clock-chewing style next to Cincinnati's short-handed offense and the shape of this thing starts to look much more like a tug of war than a track meet. It is not that either side suddenly forgot how to score, it is that the structure of the game nudges both coaching staffs toward patience, field position, and longer drives. Fewer possessions, more running, more time ticking away between whistles, all of that chips away at a big total. And when you notice that plenty of betting previews and talking heads are circling the same idea, that this feels more like a grind than a fireworks show, it lines up nicely with what the styles and roster situations are already telling us. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Arizona versus SMU. This should be a fun one, no fake enthusiasm needed. SMU has been in a bunch of tight games, but they have already fallen to 2 Big 12 opponents, and now they run into a team riding a 5-game heater with covers in 4 of the last 5. That kind of stretch is not just a hot week, it usually signals that a team has found its identity and the market has been a half-step slow catching up. Arizona's secondary is a big reason for that edge. They bring one of the better pass defenses in the country to the table, which is exactly what you want when you are staring at Jennings and an offense that wants to fling it around all night. If your best unit lines up directly against the other team's strength, you already start on solid ground. On the flip side, Arizona's own passing game is not just good, it is the clear matchup advantage. Here is the thing, you have an efficient, confident passing attack on one side and, on the other, a pass defense that has been leaking yards. SMU's secondary sits way down the national ranks, allowing 284.7 passing yards per game, and that is a brutal profile when you are about to deal with Noah Fifita and his receivers. Over 4 quarters, that kind of mismatch tends to show up, even if things feel even early. So while SMU is dangerous enough to land punches, Arizona is the side more likely to land the cleaner shots through the air and separate late. If this turns into a game decided on which passing attack can actually stress the other defense, the Wildcats have the far friendlier matchup and the better chance to finish ahead of the number. As our first pick for this matchup, the Arizona Wildcats to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. SMU is not getting blanked by anyone, even a strong defense, and there is no reason to think they suddenly dry up here. They average 32.9 points per game. Arizona is right there at 32.6, and those are not empty numbers from one weird month. That is season-long output. Honestly, Arizona should have no trouble moving the ball either. SMU's defense gives up over 390 yards per game overall, and the pass defense in particular is set up to have a rough night. Fafita and company are built to shred secondaries that struggle with spacing and communication, and that is exactly the kind of situation you get when a pass defense is hanging out in the 130s nationally. Every explosive completion not only creates points, it speeds the whole game up because possessions get shorter and you flip the field in a hurry. Once SMU starts chasing, their own offense usually leans even harder into what it does best, throwing. More passing means more clock stoppages, more snaps, and more chances for both teams to score. So even though Arizona's defense is better than what SMU has seen in some of those shootouts, the combination of two capable offenses and a shaky Mustang defense still points toward a game where both sides put up enough to threaten a higher total. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Wake Forest versus Mississippi State. The Bulldogs have felt underpriced all season, and they walk into a matchup where Wake Forest is missing its best player on each side of the ball. It really was a strong year for the Demon Deacons, who finished 8-4 with eye-catching wins over SMU and Virginia. The story for them, though, was tilted heavily toward one phase of the game. Their defense carried the load, ranking 21st in expected points added and 11th in success rate during the regular season. That unit was the engine. The offense, by contrast, dragged behind, sitting 91st in expected points added and 117th in success rate. So you had a team that looked sturdy when it was getting stops, but regularly had to grind for every yard when it had the ball. Now the gap gets even wider. Wake Forest will line up without its most impactful defender, Mateen Ibaragba, who has hit the transfer portal, and without its best offensive playmaker, running back Damon Claiborne, who declared for the draft. Losing the top player on both sides is not just a headline, it reshapes what this roster can do at its very best. Across from them is a Mississippi State Bulldogs group that looks far better on film than the 5-7 record suggests. They were a few snaps away from a much cleaner resume, with overtime losses to Tennessee and Texas and a last-second defeat against Florida hanging over their season. Those kinds of results hint at a team that was competitive against quality opponents, even if the final tally in the standings did not flatter them. Their offense, in particular, was quietly efficient. Mississippi State checked in at 54th in success rate and 24th in points per quality drive, numbers that usually belong to teams people talk about with more respect. On top of that, freshman Camario Taylor should be under center here, and he is coming off a breakout outing against Mississippi where he threw for 178 yards and added 173 rushing yards with 2 scores. That kind of dual threat spark can stress even a well-organized defense, and Wake is now doing this without its interior star up front. Put all of that together and you end up with an underrated Bulldogs side facing a short-handed Demon Deacons squad that already leaned on its defense and now has to replace its best pieces. In that kind of setup, Mississippi State looks better equipped to control the game script for 4 quarters and to play to the role of favorite rather than underdog in disguise. As our first pick for this matchup, the Mississippi State Bulldogs to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Mississippi State's offense may be underrated, but it is not some unstoppable juggernaut. It leans on a run-heavy approach, and that naturally slows things down, especially against what is still a fundamentally sound Wake Forest defense, even without Ibiragba. The bigger concern for the total is on the Demon Deacons side. It is hard to see how they move the ball with any real consistency. Claiborne was their best offensive player and found the end zone 10 times this season. Even with him, Wake Forest managed only 25.5 points per game against FBS opponents. Take that lead back out of the offense and the ceiling drops further while the floor gets even shakier. So you are looking at a matchup where one team wants to run the ball, shorten the game, and lean on efficiency rather than fireworks, and the other is already struggling to produce points and has just lost its key scorer. It is tough to construct a realistic scenario where the Demon Deacons contribute enough on the scoreboard to drag this contest above the total. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.